Here's the model again, just to remind you. And the first piece we're going to look at is where it all starts. When Elwood shows up to school in late August, early September, he's going to be exposed to a research-based core reading program by what is known as a highly qualified teacher. You folks have that? In the state, you have to be designated highly qualified in order to teach. When they looked at that 20 years of research and they looked at the different interventions that they put in place, they found that by merely improving classroom instruction, they could reduce the risk. So when you did your early screening, remember we talked about universal screening in the beginning of the year? How many kids are designated as being at risk for reading failure? By improving classroom instruction, and I'll show you what they mean by classroom improvement, they reduce that risk to 5 to 7% just by changing the classroom teacher's behavior. And here's what they did. They took the 20 years of research and they said that any reading instruction has to involve these 5 big areas: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These days, if you purchase a commercially available reading curriculum, the publisher comes in and they break some and you spend 3 weeks in the summer getting trained and all that, it's going to address all of these. However, this is not what this means. What this means is as a classroom teacher, I have to explicitly address and teach these skills. Now, these are developmental in nature. Do you think, hopefully, our 3rd and 4th grade teachers are not in the field teaching about phonemic awareness and phonics? Because by then we hope our kids have mastered that. But if you're a kindergarten teacher, 1st grade teacher, you're very busy with this. However, we might have some 3rd and 4th grade teachers who are dealing with fluency, and vocabulary and comprehension never ends. We always have to be dealing with that explicitly. Remember I mentioned how we're starting to pour the money into looking at mathematics? So if you're interested in math, this is an initial or first draft of the extent research around mathematics at this time, and this is going to be growing and growing over time. But to no surprise, what they said in terms of core math instruction, these are the areas that need to be addressed. The kids actually need to understand what the heck is going on when you take 2 and you put 2 together and then you get 4. They need to be able to do those computations fluently. They obviously need to know when to apply which mathematical operations to what situations. They have to be able to do reasoning. And this is the key one. I think can you imagine being a middle or a high school math teacher? What's the most common question a high school math teacher gets from their students, do you think? Why do I have to know this? Boy. And I think the great and the courageous math teachers have an answer every time that comes up. And that's what this is saying. That we have to, every time we go down the road of a new math concept, we need to explain to kids why you need to know this and how this is going to help you, how this is going to benefit you later. All right. The way that this is happening in schools, are you familiar with the literature on professional learning communities? Yes. Well, what's happening now with schools that are adopting this RTI model is, rather than giving this lip service, and many do, they're actually putting it into practice. So what's happening now is that when they get together, well, for example, in many of the pilot schools that I'm working with, much more information is being conveyed by the principal to their students, to the teachers, via electronic communications. But the whole notion, there's a lot of information to convey during these meetings that we have. So what's happening is what they've decided is we're going to get the minutiae taken care of through other means, and all our faculty meetings are now focused on professional development, curriculum, and these are the kinds of the things that they're doing. They're reading common books, they're reading articles, they're discussing them. They're talking about how things are going in their classrooms as they implement new programs. And the focus now is completely on instruction. So they've become truly professional learning communities. This is hugely important if you talk about the issue we're addressing here, is that the core curriculum is consistently provided across all settings. So if you've got three, I don't know how large your schools are, but if you have 3 first grade teachers, this is an opportunity for them to talk about how they're administering or putting together their own curriculum to make sure everyone's on the same page. On the way up, I was telling the story about during one of the professional development opportunities, I was standing over a group of teachers who were working together, and there were 2 teachers who job share. One taught on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and one taught on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it became clear to them during this activity that literacy instruction was very different on Monday than from Tuesday, and then from Wednesday to Thursday. And it wasn't until they engaged in this activity and talked about what they realized that our poor kids, we need to get on base. So that's an example of, but you need all classrooms providing adequate instruction. Okay.